we're going to start on your sides. And you're going to either have your fluffy pillow or your yoga bolster about a quarter of the way down your mat. And then you could have a block at the top. And even if you wanted to get even cozier, you could put a blanket over there, over that. So let's start on our right side. And then we're going to lay our right rib cage along the bolster, the prop, the pillow, whatever it is. And then there's this nice little spot for my arm between my pillow and my bolster. That it's a nice little crease that I can lay that arm out on and then drop my head onto the pillow if you have one, or the block with something covering it, or just the block. And then you settle on in here and you think, okay, this is how I sleep, and then we take a snooze, right? No, don't do that just yet. So we'll drop our head and then let our legs go nice and long here. And then from here, we're going to start to be aware of the top of our hip. So as you possibly bring this top hand to our hip, let's go ahead and just notice what's there. And some of us might say, oh, there's all this adipose tissue. And then we want to be kind to ourselves, knowing that there's bone underneath there, there's muscle, there's tissue, and this is working for us. It's allowing us to walk forward, it's allowing us to move sideways, possibly dance, sit, all those things. So it's doing a great job for us. So if we come up with negative thoughts, we just turn them on to the positive. And so as you kind of explore this area, you might notice it might be hard, you might notice bone, you might notice a strong muscle in there. And then let's take our palm flat and place it there and just give a gentle pressure down. So let's say 30% of our strength. And then as you start to lift your right or your top leg, your left leg, straight up, maybe you notice a muscle in here contract. It kind of jumps into your hand. And then as you exhale, you drop the leg and hopefully you feel everything soften. So you inhale, you feel a muscle contract here. You might lift your leg a little bit higher. And then as you exhale, we drop the leg on down. And then do that a couple times, because when we first start to have body awareness, we might not notice the muscle jumping into our hand. And so it takes us a couple times to try to feel it, or we just fake it till we make it, right? And so we're just bringing that leg up, and our toes are pointing out to the outside. So our visual is out to the left, and our toes are pointing out to the left. We're bringing that leg up and down. Now, one thing to note is that one side might feel different than the other, so we just want to be aware of this side. Does it feel like my booty's really getting into the action, or maybe my front of my pelvis is trying to help out? And can we just isolate so that the side of the leg, the side of the hip is doing this action? And then dropping that leg down and just taking a pause here. Nice deep breath into the belly, in through the nose, down into the belly. And then as you exhale, letting all the breath out, noticing any tightness in the jaw, the shoulder. Is your head nice and soft? One more breath just like that, just allowing yourself to be. Good. And then notice again how your pelvis is stacked. So if I were to bring my hips a little bit forward, that is more of a twist in my spine. Or if I bring it back, that's a twist in my spine. But we're trying to stack our pelvis and keep that. Now you're going to bring your top leg just a little bit away from your bottom. And then you're going to breathe in and start to bring your toes up towards your nose. And then as you breathe out, you're going to take that leg behind you. Now, what we want to notice here is this is you walking. And notice how the whole body is most likely moving in order for you to do this walk. And what we want to try to do is isolate the motion so that the lower leg and pelvis are doing this action, but we don't feel like our upper body is having to twist and turn in order for us to do the motion. So I'm going to be quiet here, and I just want you to think your hips are stacked. And as you breathe in, your foot comes forward. As you breathe out, your foot goes back. Now, notice as your foot goes back, do you feel your bum working? We want it to work. And as you go forward, do you feel your hip flexors, the front of your leg, working a little bit? And then as you go back, do you feel your bum contract just slightly? And if you don't, could you ask them to? Or again, just fake it till you make it. And I'm noticing my legs definitely fatiguing out here, so if you need to take a break, do so. We've got one more to go. And go ahead and drop that leg. Now, from here, let's go ahead and bring our top leg up and drop that left foot on the ground. So all I'm doing is bending my left knee. I'm bringing my foot as close to my body as possible. Keeping my upper body relaxed. I'm just going to gently push down through this left foot. And imagine my body lifting off of the ground a little bit because I'm pushing so much through my left foot. So it just gets lighter on the lower side as I push through this left foot. And do that one more time. Push down through the foot. Just tiny micro movement of the body lifts, and then straighten out the leg again. So we're going to add to that in a moment, not just yet. Okay, so straight legs once again. Breath in. Breath out. All right, let's stretch our pec muscles. Inhale, bringing your arm up to the sky, reaching on up. Palms gonna face towards your visual out in front of you. Then you're gonna keep your ribs and your pelvis stacked on top of each other. Take your arm back behind you. So instead of turning your chest up to the sky, your gaze to the sky, your chest and gaze are going to be out to the left. And then you're going to take that top hand back behind you. Hopefully feel a stretch in your pec muscle, and your shoulder blade goes a little bit closer to your spine. As you inhale, it comes up to the sky. As you exhale, it goes back behind you. Keep going. Inhaling, reach up. Exhale, take that arm behind you. The shoulder blade comes closer to the spine. The ribs stay stacked. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, back behind you. Now with the choice to start to turn your sternum, your gaze up to the sky, and now becomes more of a spinal twist. If you need to bend your knees or adjust your legs for it to feel a little bit better, do so. You can take that arm behind you and start to twist. But remember, you don't have to if it doesn't feel good to you. And then on your next inhale, let's bring the arm up to the sky. And we'll just clamshell, ending with the left hand on top of the right. Take a pause there. Notice the tips of your fingers touching. Notice the warmth of your hand or the coolness of your hand. And take one more breath. And letting the breath all the way out. On your next inhale, we're going to find ourselves turning. So let's go ahead. Actually, how do I want to do this? Let's get our props out of the way for a moment. And we'll end up on our side without our props. And we're going to end up with our right elbow on the ground, our right elbow underneath our shoulder for support, and then the right hand going straight out to the side or to the left in a sense. Most importantly, we want to stack the shoulder over the elbow. The other thing to note is we don't want to be shrugging forward and really closed off in the chest. We want to think open chest, open shoulders, and push down through our elbow. From there, you could stay, or you can take that top leg and bring it up as high as you can towards your pelvis. Wherever this top hand wants to be, let it be. So all of your work is through this bent knee. And it might not be a lot of work. Let's just try a micro movement. So first check in with your straight leg. We want it to be placed so that the side of the foot is on the mat and our toes are pointed out to the side. This is kind of our stabilizer, the outside edge of that straight leg. From here, we're going to gently push down through our elbow, lift ourselves away from the mat, just like in a sense. Then you're going to push down through your straight leg, your bent leg, push down through that foot a lot, and see if you could lift your body a little or a lot off of the ground. Again, it could be a micro movement. Then you come right back down. This is your strengthener. I want you to see if you can feel the outside of your leg fire as you push down through that foot and lift yourself on up. And down you go. If it feels like you want to take your left arm up to the sky as you do it, pushing and stabilizing through the elbow, pushing a lot through this bent knee, and reaching on up. And down. Remember, we're not finding any pinch in our knee. If we are, we just think about lifting. One more time. Up and down. Ooh, I need a break after that. All right, so let's take one on our other side. So let's get our props ready to do our other side. I'm gonna have to rotate just so I can see you, but you might just flip yourself. All right, so our prop, our bolster, or our pillow is about a quarter of the way down. We've got our headrest if we want one. And then our left arm has this nice little space between the cushion and the headrest. We lay our left ribs on the cushion, and then we let our head drop. Yay, relaxed. Okay, take your legs straight here, and then adjust your hips so everything's stacked, like you were standing. And if you were standing, your top hip wouldn't be more forward than the other, and it wouldn't be back, hopefully, than the other. It's trying to stack itself right on top of the other. Okay, let's take 3 breaths here, just enjoying being on our side. Breath in through the nose, it travels into the belly, and a full exhale out. Settling into the side, into the space. All right, from here, we're going to take our top hand to the side of our hip. And it's not on our leg or our T-band, it's not on our belly, it's on the side of the pelvis. And you might just give a little hello, what's in this space? And if we go too far back, our bum's there. If we go too far forward, we kind of roll off of the pelvis. But just being in that space, getting to know our bodies because it's important. And then from here, we're going to place our top hand on our hip. Just give a gentle pressure down. And start to lift that top leg up off of the bottom leg and drop back down. Now, we want to see if we can feel the muscles on the sides of the legs fire up for us. And as you go up and down, you might start to notice the other side felt different than this side. And for some of you that we've been working with for a while, we know there's asymmetries in the body, and that's okay. What we're trying to create is just a little bit more balance so that each side just becomes a little bit the same strength, the same flexibility. Is it going to be 100%? Nope. But a little bit more consistency would be nice for many of us. And then you might decide to go way up, and when you go way up, your toes are still pointed kind of out to the right, and you feel a stretch on the insides of the legs possibly, and then drop that. And then we'll go back up again. Maybe we decide to go a little bit lower or higher, pushing through the heel possibly, and dropping that leg once again. Let's take a pause there, checking in. I'm noticing my shoulders getting involved and my head. So we just make sure this is supposed to be for the top of our hip, the side of our leg. All right, from there you're going to let your top leg come a little bit off of your lower leg. And then you're going to imagine yourself walking. The leg goes forward, toes a little bit towards the nose. The leg goes back, it swings back. As you inhale, we'll take the leg forward. As you exhale, the leg goes back. Now, there's going to be a little bit of movement through your spine, right? But we don't want this drastic low back starts to throw forward, or the hip starts to come in or go back. We want to keep those hips stacked. And we want to think about the motion coming in our pelvis, not too much kinking or moving in our low back or our rib cage, just a little bit. So can you isolate the leg doing the action? The hip doing the action. Good, and you got 2 more to go. Remember, if the body's just like, whoa, this is a lot for me, then take a break. Okay. Now from here, drop that leg. We'll take 3 breaths, just taking a pause. That last breath goes out, really drawing the breath all the way out. And then bringing the top leg up, or the top foot up and as close to your pelvis or your head as you can get it. Let's say pelvis, don't bring it up close to your head. And then the bottom leg straight. And then we have the whole foot on the mat. So if your leg is down by your shin or your knee, that's fine. You most likely just won't lift as much. And we're not looking for the biggest lift. We're just looking for action in the top of our leg. So we push down through the foot, and we imagine ourselves being able to lift a little bit of our lower half off of the ground. And then we relax that. And we push down through the foot, and we lift just a little bit, and we drop. And then in a moment, we're going to do this in a bigger way, and so you might just prepare even your arm for that. Reaching the arm up to the sky, pushing down through this bent knee, bent foot, and just a tiny little lift off of the ground. And then go ahead and straighten those legs on out. You can have them bent too if that feels better. We're going to go to our pec muscle, so we'll reach the top hand up to the sky. Reach away, and then as you exhale, you're going to take the arm behind you, but don't let your shoulder drop back, don't let your sternum move, don't let your gaze move. Your chest points to the right, and your arm goes back. And then hopefully you feel a pull kind of in the side pectoral area. Breathing in, coming back to center, reaching up. And as you exhale, you drop back. So if any of you know where your pec minor is, it's kind of like attached into your armpit and attached to kind of the middle of your rib cage. That is a muscle that gets so tight on so many of us. So if you can feel that muscle stretching in this pose, that is really good work. We need that more. If you don't feel anything, it doesn't mean you don't win the yoga prize for the day. You're still here, you're still showing up. And we got this last one. Go ahead and bring your fingertips back to center. Really reach up. Keep that reach up as you start to bring the arm back behind you. The shoulder blade comes closer to the spine, and then possibly deciding a little bit of a rotation of sternum, of opening up through the chest, the shoulders. And you might do a little, you might do a lot. Find what works. Breathe. And inhale, come on up. Let's clamshell those hands together or something along those parts. See about your fingertips possibly touching, and see if you can feel the warmth or the coolness of your hands. We'll take 3 breaths here. Good. We'll find ourselves moving our props out of the way. Always remember taking care of yourself. So if this got like you felt like it was too much on the other side, you could just do the little levitation motion that we did instead. So we've got our left elbow underneath our left shoulder. Remember, we're not forward, we're not shrugging, shortening off the front of our body, but we're gently pushing down through our elbow and our forearm and our hand. It feels like we're lifting away from the ground. Top leg will come up towards our pelvis, and we'll see about the bottom of the foot fully placed on the mat. From there, we're going to gently push down through the elbow a lot. All the action is in this bent knee, this bent leg. We're pushing down through that leg so much that we might feel like we could lift ourselves off of the ground, this lower half, and then dropping on down. If you need to adjust the arm to find more ease in the shoulder, do so. Push down through the foot, see if you can get the lower half off the ground. If you want to add the fingertips, you bring the fingertips up to the sky. Imagine that helping you lift. We push down a lot through the bent knee, trying to fire up the side of the hip and come on down. 2 more times. Inhale up, you go. Good job. Exhale down, you go. Nice and slow. Find those muscles on the side of the legs. See if you can feel them. And down you go. Whew. Good job. Now, go ahead and get your strap by your side and come to your back. Strap by the side, onto your back you go. Let's bring those feet to the ground. And one thing I've really noticed is helping me a lot is just a little hip stabilizer. So I've been throwing this in, especially when we're working our pelvis. So you're going to bring your right knee to 90 degrees, the knees right above the pelvis. We're going to bring our hands to our thigh. And if it feels like it's too short, you could always take a block and give it a little extension of the hand too, okay? So from there, you're going to push down a lot through your left leg, and then you're going to draw your right knee towards your chest, but the hands resist the motion. And so left foot pushes, right knee towards the chest, the hands resist, and breathe. And let that out, and we'll stabilize the other side, bringing the left knee in line with the pelvis, the hands go to the thigh. We first push down through the right foot a lot, and then we draw the left thigh into the chest, the hands resist, the hands are the wall, and then drop that foot back down. We'll do the same thing, other side. Right thigh into the chest, the hands resist, push down through that left foot. And last time here, hands to the left thigh, push the thigh into the hands, the foot into the ground, and relax there. Both feet to the ground. Let's draw those knees into the chest here for a moment and just do a nice side to side. Taking a moment to enjoy the simple pleasures of a little self-massage of the spine. You might feel it on your low back some. And back to center you go. All right, from here, let's take our feet to the mat. We're gonna take our strap around our right foot. So strap around the right foot. And then let's go ahead and straighten that right leg up to the sky. We're gonna keep our left foot on the ground for now. We're going to draw the right toes towards our nose until we feel a nice stretch in the back of our leg. We'll back out of that. We'll point our toes to the right. And even though we see our toes going to the right, our thigh actually turns out to the right too. So it's like the whole thigh is turning outwards. So in, but we're looking for out, so the toes point to the right. And then draw the toes to the nose again and just see if you feel more of a stretch to the outside inside of the leg. And then pause and back off. And then draw the toes to the inside, and in theory, you're turning your thigh inward too. And what's actually happening is hopefully you're rotating the femur in the socket. So the toes point inward. And then you'll draw the toes towards the nose and see if that changes your stretch. Come back to center. Bend your knee. And you're going to take your knee to the outside of your torso. And you're gonna keep your knee headed towards your armpit. And then your right hand is going to come up as close as possible. So left foot definitely on the ground. You might be able to take the bottom of your foot so that it's level with the sky. But if it's not, again, we don't win a prize for doing that. If it's not, just keep the heel towards your thigh. That's okay too. We can still do this action. So we'll bring the foot or the hand as close to the foot as possible. And keep that right knee drawing towards the armpit. From there, you're going to slowly take this left thigh, or left knee into your chest. And see if it feels all right to start to straighten the leg so that the toes start to point up to the sky or maybe to the wall away from you. And then we're going to bend that knee to the chest again and start to straighten it once more. Bend it and straighten it. Now let's go ahead and drop that left foot. Let the strap come off of our right leg however we can and drop the legs back to the mat. We're going to keep hold of our strap because we're going to use it again. We're going to take hold our feet as wide as the mat. Do a few windshield wipers. This is just our time to check in with the pelvis. Did I do too much with the invitation I gave the body? We just do these things to check in, connect with the breath once again. Back to center. We're going to do the same thing but switch up the strap sides. So we'll walk our feet back to hip distance apart. Bring the right knee into the chest. Take the knee to the outside of the torso. The knee heads towards the armpit. Then you decide how far you're going to bring the foot up. Okay, you can grab a hold of the back of the leg now, your pants, or your big toe, or the outside edge of your foot. And just noticing what feels right for you. Now, this is a little tricky because I'm going to have to let go of that leg and see if I can get the lasso around my left foot. And if you need to come out of the pose to get the lasso around the left foot, that's fine. I'll direct us back in. So get the lasso around the left leg, take that left leg straight, and then draw that right knee into the chest, out to the outside of the torso, towards the armpit. Right foot maybe up to the sky. Grab a hold of whatever you can grab a hold of. Keep that right knee headed towards your armpit. Now pay attention to your left leg. Can you take that left leg straight and possibly the leg out and start to draw the left leg towards the left side of the ground or out to the ground? And at some point the eyes are going to pop out of the head. So we back off, we do a little bit less, we check in with the pelvis, we make sure we honor it. We might come out of the pose and revisit it, letting the leg drop out. And if it doesn't feel right to keep this right foot or right knee into the armpit, you can always drop it down to the ground and just do this with the left leg. That's fine too. One more time, in it goes, out it goes. And then let's bring both feet to the ground. I felt like that was a lot of work. Hopefully it didn't exhaust us too much. All right, feet as wide as the mat. Let's draw our knees in towards one another and see if we can kind of feel our SI joints on the back of our body kind of open and expand. So our feet are mat distance apart, our knees drop in, and that hopefully just gives our SI joints on the back of our body just a little bit more space if they kinked up at all. Let's take 3 breaths here. Take a nice breath in, bring your feet back to center. Let's draw the left knee into the chest, hug it in. We'll get our lasso and put it around our left foot. We'll straighten that leg up to the sky. Bring the toes towards our nose, feel where we feel the stretch. Take it in. Back off. Take the toes out to the left and the thigh out to the left. We imagine the femur rotating in the socket. Then we keep that. Draw the toes to the nose again. Notice if we feel it more to the outside, the back outside of the leg. Back off. Toes to the inside. Draw the toes towards the nose. See where we feel different kind of stretch. Back off. Bend the knee, draw it into the chest, take it to the outside of the torso, towards the armpit. Get cinch up on your strap. Maybe the foot is closer towards the thigh, or it's somewhere in between our foot to the in line with the ceiling. From there, we could just do this. This could be a lot of great work for you. You could stay there. Or you can take the left leg up to the sky, point it, and bend the knee. Reach it up to the sky, point it, and bend the knee. 2 more times. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, bend. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, bend. Bring that foot back to the mat. Both feet back to the mat. Take your feet as wide as the mat. And find yourself moving the knees back and forth for windshield wiper. Check in with the body. Am I doing work that's helpful or hindering? If it's hindering, it doesn't mean we can't do it. We just back off. Or we actually imagine ourselves doing the action. One more to each side. Go. Just feel like you're letting things go. Back to center. Walk those feet back to hip distance. Bring the left. Let's keep the strap for the right foot. So we bring the left knee into the chest. We take the knee to the outside of the torso. We decide where our foot's going to go. We might grab back of leg pants, or some of you might be able to grab the foot or the outside edge of the foot. From there, this is where I got in trouble last time, because then I couldn't lasso up my right foot. So however you want to get the lasso around your right foot, you might come out and rejoin us, the left thigh towards the armpit, grabbing a hold of whatever you can grab a hold of. Keeping this left leg in half happy baby. And then taking the right leg straight. If you choose, you could start to take the right leg out to the outside, over to the right. And I'm feeling kind of lucky because the wall's right there. And then inhale, come back up. Exhale, out you go. Inhale, back up. Exhale, possibly out you go. Remember, if this is too much for the left leg or left hip, keep that left foot on the ground and just go out with the right. Let's do one more here. Good. Let's go ahead and bring that leg back up. Get your lasso and put that baby over to the outside of the mat. We're not going to use it again. Both feet on the mat. Let's take some pelvic tilts here. So I like to place my hands right where the hip creases are, where my thighs and pelvis meet. And then as I breathe in, my belly moves forward, my tail goes back, pubic bone goes down, there's space between my low back and the mat. And then as I tip back, there's space between my bony bits of my pelvis and my thigh. My low back goes to the mat, my tail scoops under, and think about my pubic bone towards my navel. Keep rocking. Belly comes forward, low back off the mat, tail down, pubic bone down. Rock back, low back on the mat, tail scoops under. Now remember, we're keeping our bum flush with the ground. It doesn't lift up. It's just a rocking on the bum. Now we want to find the in-between those two. So we don't want to be low back off the ground. We don't want low back to be squished on the ground. We want to find a nice in-between that we'll call neutral pelvis. Our hands are by our sides, our shoulders soften. Push down through your feet, lift your pelvis straight up. Straight up, don't tuck your tail, don't push your pubic bone down. Go straight up like an elevator lifting. Feel the strength in the front of the legs, the back of the legs, the booty, and then come straight down. If you felt any pinching in your low back or pinching in the front of the hip creases, find your neutral pelvis again. Rock back and forth in your pelvic tilts. Find neutral, push down through the feet, lift on up. Feel the strength in the thighs, the booty, the outsides of the legs, the insides of the legs, and drop on down again. One more time. Deep breath in. Keep the neutral pelvis. Elevator goes straight up. Don't tuck the tail. Don't push pubic bone down. Straight up. And then come straight back down. Bring those knees into the chest. Hug them in. Sway side to side. And just rock and roll here. Maybe your head even gets into the motion. Okay, it looks like we're going to stay on the ground the whole class. I felt like we still got in some really big muscular work even though we stayed on the floor, so that's good. Hopefully you feel like you got some energy flow, some a little bit more challenging stuff even though it was on the ground. Come back, let both of your feet return to the ground. Take your right foot and cross it over your left. So my right ankle is somewhere right in front of my left knee. It's just in the vicinity. There's a triangle in the middle of my legs. Now, notice if your right knee is like hugged towards your chest, or you might have been trained to push it away. Let's try both of those just to see what works for us in this moment. So let's bring our knee towards our chest. Then let's bring our left thigh in towards our chest. And notice if there's any pinching on the knee or if it feels like you get a better stretch in the outside edge of your right leg. Then draw the foot down. Push your knee away and build space between the thigh and the belly. And then keep a little bit of that and start to slowly draw the thigh into the chest. And if it feels good, then keep doing it. If you're not sure, then maybe let the leg go and let it do whatever it needs to do. And then bring the foot back to the ground. So if you found one of those more helpful for you, you can find that again. Otherwise, I'll just invite you to do in between those two, and then draw the left thigh into the chest. Maybe grab a hold of pants, the back of the leg, and we'll pause here, trying to find that stretch on the outside of the right leg, possibly the bum, IT band even outside of the leg, maybe hamstring. The one thing that we'll note is a lot of times I see a lot of people lifting their head, and if that's you, maybe put a pillow underneath your head just so you don't have to do so much work. Actually, that's gonna be me today. Getting all cozy over here. Oh yeah, that's nice. Okay, we'll take 2 more breaths here. Now we might check in with the outside of that right leg and notice, am I doing too much? Do I want to back off? Do I just want to bring the left foot to the ground? Or does it feel okay to bring my hands closer to my knee? And in theory, that's drawing the thigh a little bit closer to my body. One more breath here. Bringing the foot back to the mat. Both feet will go. And let's just take a moment to do our windshield wiper once again. Feet as wide as the mat. Checking in, dropping those knees to the right, knees to the left. Connecting with that beautiful breath. Good, back to center. Walk your feet back to center. And then we're going to, let's find neutral pelvis again. So we might notice the belly's forward. This would be more like our cow position when we're on all fours, our cat-cow. The low back's way off of the mat. And the reverse of that is our cat, our tucking the tail under and our low back on the mat. And can we find neutral, or what we call tabletop when we're on all fours? Where we're not too far forward, we're not too far back, but what's our neutral pelvis? From there, we're going to take our left leg and cross it over our right. So my left ankle's now around my right knee. Triangle in the middle. And then we can decide, let's play, so we can find it in between. Drawing the right knee towards the torso a little bit. My left knee. My left knee towards my torso a little bit. then my right thigh in, and just noticing, do I feel a stretch on the outside of my left leg? If you do, this might be your pose. Dropping that foot down, pushing or inviting the knee away, building space between the belly and the thigh, and then drawing that right thigh into the chest. That might feel really good to you, and you could do that one. Or you could find the in-between, between the push out and the draw in. Where's in between those two? And then draw the right thigh into the chest. And maybe grab hold of pants. Maybe grab hold of the back of the leg. If you feel like your head or your shoulders are having to do a lot of work, you might grab a pillow or a prop for underneath your head. We'll settle in here for 3 breaths. They're going to be long ones. And then you check in, does the stretch on the outside of the leg, does it feel like it needs more or less? You could draw the right foot to the ground, or you could start to walk your hand a little bit closer to your knee and see if that deepens the stretch enough to allow you to feel a little bit deeper on the outside of the leg. Let's take 2 more breaths here. Good. Returning that foot back to the ground and both feet to the ground. Let's take our feet last time as wide as the mat. This time we're going to draw our knees in again. Our knees hold each other up so that the legs don't have to do any work. I'm actually going to lift my pelvis a little bit off of the mat and then drop it back down and then settle in again. Just so that the back of the pelvis can kind of open up in a sense here. Getting into that SI joint where our sacrum and our pelvis meet. We'll take 3 breaths here. Good, and then bringing those knees up to the sky. And we're going to find our Shavasana. Now, I'm fully aware that the work that we did today might have aggravated something in our pelvis. But this Shavasana is a great time to release that. And maybe the work that we did could settle in a bigger way and end up being excellent work for our pelvis. So if you're feeling like, woo, that was a lot for me and I might have overdone it, then grab your 2 blocks or get your legs up a chair or a wall. But getting 2 blocks and having them stacked, a lot of you do this in class, and then you put the prop on top. This could be a really great way to just be really kind to our SI joints and our hips and even our hip flexors. So we could build that, we could put our shins up on this thing we built. I invite you to put your shins or your legs on top of the blocks, because if you went into the squishy part of your prop or your pillow, everything might collapse. So the shins, the legs are on top of the blocks, and then lay back onto your back. Now I'm missing my pillow. Here, got a blanket. And get yourself nice and cozy. It's almost the end of January, where winter is in full effect. And it's great to just find those really cozy things that just feel like a warm summer day in a sense. I know I'm stretching it, but it does. It feels like all warm and cozy. So find something like a warm summer's day. You can even visualize that you're at a warm spot, a warm beach, a warm, I don't know, wherever your favorite spot is. And on Tuesday, it was Tuesday, I took Kathy's Yoga Nidra class with some of you all. And I told you last night she talked about Sankalpa, your heart's desire. And I really love this one. I love it so much. Almost as much as Purusha. And many of you know I love Purusha. So Sankalpa is your heart's desire. And so as you get into your Shavasana, what you might call meditation now, we start to be aware of like, what is my heart's desire right now? And it might just, one thing might just solidify deep down inside of you. Or a few things might pop into your mind. And grab hold of one. And let that heart's desire, that Sankalpa, be in a part of your body. It could be in your heart, but it could be in another place if you choose. And if it's in your heart, is it in the front of your heart, or the back of your heart, or a side, or does it take up your whole heart? Just get curious there. And so I shared with you that my heart's desire is to one day be free of worry. Because I worry a lot and it takes over my whole body. And what would it feel like in my body not to worry all the time? And so for me, for my example, I imagine that going throughout my whole body, a worry-free life. Because when I worry, the things haven't happened yet, and it's not guaranteed to happen, and so it's not serving me. And it seems impossible for me not to worry, but I'm going to dive deep in my meditation or Shavasana and see what that would feel like. So I invite you to build your own Sankalpa and see how it resonates in your body as we take some quiet here. Just checking in, we're about halfway through our Shavasana, and you might be able to go deep into your heart's desire, feeling it, fueling it, spreading it, or your mind might have wandered off. And if it did, just catch it, bring it back, settle on it. And then as you start to deepen that breath, you can start to imagine your Sankalpa spreading. So you get to know it within yourself. You have a very strong foundation. Maybe not today, but it grows. And then as you build this self-practice, this contentment within you, you start to spread it within your room, within your home, within your family, within your community, within your country, within your world. And so as you start to deepen your breath, you might start to spread it. And at first it might be a little bit intimidating, or you're just like, let's go for it, right? It just depends on your personality type. So whatever resonates with you, just feel like you're spreading it a little or a lot. But remember, you have to have that strong foundation, that confidence of self, of knowing and trusting self, before we can spread it out. So start to fan the fire slowly, and then start to share it when you're ready, if you become ready. And you can decide to stay right where you're at to finish your practice, or I'll invite you to slowly come on up to seated. I went a little bit over, so we'll finish out our practice here, but we'll just come on up to seated. You can guide yourself into settling into that nice long spine, into those sit bones, and making sure the shoulders are dropping away from the ears. Finding a place that resonates with you for your hands. Finding that nice flow of breath in and out. Still fanning your fires. Moving that energy. Building the self-trust and confidence within you. Thank you for being here today. Namaste.